Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to the opening of Rebecca Dahl's A Stitched Story of Slavery in Grenada. Your presence here this evening signifies a collective commitment to history, to dialogue, and to healing through heritage. Museums are often seen as quiet places filled with old objects, but they are so much more than that. Museums are living spaces, spaces of belonging, where voices once silence finds resonance, where memory is honored, and where we as a people come to understand not only where we have come from, but who we are. They are places of preservation and education, yes, but equally important, they are vessels of empowerment. But in moments like these, museums become sacred spaces of reflection, truth telling, and transformation. This exhibition is a remarkable example of that sacred work. Rebecca Dawes invites us into the life of Rebecca Amati Snag, an enslaved woman whose story would have faded into obscurity were it not for three dolls, humble, handmade, yet profoundly powerful. These artifacts, preserved by the family of Rebecca's former enslaver and reinterpreted by the artist Sulin, became part of this project, not just objects of the past. They are voices, they become witnesses. Historical artifacts such as these are not merely items on display. They are powerful visual narratives, as you would have seen and you would be interacting with, bridging personal memory, artistic interpretation, and national history. They invite us to feel, to question, and to remember. They carry the weight of stories that are too often left untold, yet they offer a space where difficult conversations can begin with honesty and compassion. This exhibition challenges us to confront the enduring legacies of slavery, not only as history, but as lived experiences whose echoes still shape our societies. It calls on us to recognize that storytelling is not just a method of remembering, but an act of reclaiming, an act of healing. By acknowledging pain, we make room for understanding. By sharing stories, we restore, and in doing so, we honor those who came before us and paved the way for those to come. As a museum, we hold fast to our responsibility to document, to educate, and to inspire. But we cannot do this work alone. It takes partnership, it takes belief, and it takes vision. To the artist, Ms. Sulin Law Trutang, thank you for breathing life into these narratives with such sensitivity, creativity, and depth. Your work is a gift to Grenada's cultural landscape. To my dedicated staff at the Grenada National Museum, thank you for your tireless efforts, your passion, and your belief in the transformative power of heritage. To our board of directors, thank you for your steadfast governance, vision, and leadership. Your support continues to propel the museum forward as a vital cultural institution in this nation. And also, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors who believed in this project and made it possible through their generous donations, support, and contributions. Senator Claudette Joseph, the Koyaba Beach Resort, Go2 Media Solutions, Grenada Trade Center, Ariza Credit Union, and the Ministry of Culture, whose guidance the Grenada National Museum falls. I encourage all of you here today to engage deeply with what you would feel and see throughout the exhibition. Let it move you. Let it provoke thought. Let it inspire action. Let it remind us all that history is not just behind us, it is within us, shaping our past and guiding our future. As we open the Rebecca dolls, may it not just mark an exhibition, but a renewed call for honor, memory, so that we can embrace truth to contribute meaningfully to the cultural discourse of our society. Let us not just look at history, let us learn from it. Let us not just celebrate culture, let us protect it. And let us not just visit museums, let us invest in it. I thank you all, and I welcome you to the opening of the exhibition of Rebecca dolls, Stitch, that tongue twister. Right. So I welcome all of you. I am Lorna Dale Charles, and I am the curator of the Grenada National Museum. So I now invite one of the historians who was very instrumental in this exhibition and working with the artists, Dr. Angus Martin.
Hello, everyone. Before I say anything, I just want to give a real big up to Sulin. This is phenomenal, what Sulin has done. Back in 2020, something like that, I wasn't even in Grenada. I read an article online about these dolls. And I thought it was something that we need to pursue. So I contacted Sulin, and in the last 5 years, I guess, we have been researching, but Sulin goes a step further. She runs down every rabbit hole, and it's hard to pull her back sometimes. But she finds things that end up being put into the story that we have here today. I am really proud of Sulin for taking it to the level that she has, because we're supposed to write a paper and we still haven't written a paper. So Sulin, thank you, and it's been a pleasure working with you. So the paper that we're going to write is titled 3 Dolls, 2 Women, and a Letter, that tells the story of slavery between the former enslaved and the enslaver. The article that we had seen was called Dolls Made by Freed Manumitted Woman in Grenada. I was immediately taken by the story because I'd seen so few artifacts of the period from Grenada and knew that there was an interesting tale to be told here. You see, we have so few articles that will allow us to tell the tens of thousands of stories of slavery in Grenada. As a matter of fact, there is so little around to tell detailed stories of slavery that we end up making up stories like slave pens. There were little in the way of family heirlooms to pass down, no artifacts like shackles or whips that confirm the brutality, no memories in journals that tell of the suffering, no ruins of thatched houses that reveal the heart of everyday enslaved lives, no drums beating out rhythms of melancholy melodies, no cultural objects that linger in museums, no genealogies to trace old and proud ancestries, and no monuments that sing praises to heroic ancestors. In Grenada, it is a landscape and heritage devoid of slavery, except in the enduring nightmarish trauma of it all. Our historical landscape is almost devoid of slavery. It's like it never happened. We have to dig really deep to find these stories that help us to understand what took place here for almost 2 centuries and involve about 150,000 captive and indentured Africans brought to Grenada between 1649 and 1865. What Sulin has put together here is one of these stories, hopefully the beginning of many more. Realizing the importance of the article and what it could mean, I shared it with Sulin, and we both set out on a journey that has brought us here today, the opening of A Stitched Story of Slavery in Grenada. This exhibition is the result of Sulin's years of research into the dolls, including actually visiting the Bristol Museum and getting a close-up view of them. Through the discovery of the three, though the discovery of the three dolls fascinated me, it was the story of the two women that really captivated me. With Sulin taking on the role of the dolls, I thought it was very gendered in that she gets to play with the dolls. But I guess we somehow separated the duties of doing the research. And I was like, okay, Sulin, you can take the dolls. And I went about doing the other research. And Sulin went far beyond whatever I could have imagined. And this whole exhibition about Madras, I didn't know there was so much about Madras, the clothing. And this is what Sulin has spent quite a lot of time doing, and actually was off in the UK at a conference talking about Madras with other people who study this material. So it's really taken her beyond. I'm still doing the research on the relationships and looking at finding the documents, One of the things that we found, which really shed some light, but still confusing, we found the manumission document, the document that freed Rebecca. And I've been talking with a lawyer, and we have issues understanding the language in it. That even today, we cannot understand the language sometimes, what exactly they mean. It's very repetitive. And this document was written in the 1780s and 90s. And it was English, and one would say still modern English, but nonetheless, the way it was written is just so complex that it's really hard to figure out who's doing what. So it's one of those things that we're still trying to work through, even though we have transcribed it and everything. But it still is a complicated document that we still can't figure out who paid for her manumission, even though we have this document. And it actually, what one of the things I was discussing is that we need legal reform. The language in these documents should be readable to people who might consider themselves educated or intelligent, but still cannot understand these documents. So it's really a huge task going through some of these old documents, trying to decipher what was meant in them. I think for me, doing this research, like I said, we don't have too many objects that really tell us and allow us to get a story into slavery. We have very, very few documents. And even when we do have a document or an object, normally we don't have access to it. Most of our history, unfortunately, lies outside of Grenada. We do not, and this is my soapbox, we do not have a national archives. It's a disgrace that we do not have a national archives. Our library has been shut down since 2011. And our history has been outsourced to others. If you have to study Grenada's history, you have to go to the UK or the US or France. In the case of this manumission document, I had to contact friends in the US to go on a computer database to get a copy of a deed that we don't have access to in Grenada. And that goes for lots of our documents. So this research would not have just happened if we were in Grenada alone, that we cannot do Grenadian history in Grenada, which is very unfortunate. Yeah. Anyway, I will end here. I just again want to big up Sulin for really allowing us to get a view into slavery by looking at the lives of these women and these dolls especially. Thank you.
Now we welcome the woman of the hour, Mrs. Sulin Lau Chu Tang.
Hello. I am Su Lin Lau Chu Tung. It is Lao, not low. Pain, as in ow, not surprise. Oh, Su Lin Lau Chu Tung. Right, Rebecca's Dolls. So, big up my supervising historian, Angus. My exhibition team. Andrea, where are you? Connie, where are you? And Jean Renel is not here. Yeah. Right, so it's about 3 dolls. It's about 3 dolls made by Rebecca Amity Snag and kept, thankfully, by the family of Rebecca's former enslaver. You can't hear me in this one? Oh, sorry, I just moved, you know. Yeah, kept by the family of Rebecca's former enslaver. It connects enslavement, Indian textiles, which is the Madras, to British trade in Grenada. So even though it's 3 little dolls, the story has they're in the middle, and you have all this web, these threads going out, because you can come up with all kinds of things. And the beautiful thing is, all of this happened in the town of St. George, so I'm very grateful that you are here. Yes. May we have the next slide, please? Who doing the slides? Yeah, thank you very much. This, can we get a little lights down? You all could see? You all could see? All right. Maybe we could kill 2 lights would be nice. Right, so this is what the town of St. George looked like in 1790. I just want to give you an idea of the environment of the time. Yeah? Ooh, better. 1790. Next. And I split the slide so you can better appreciate the slide. You can see on the left-hand side, that is the church. Yeah? Which church? Would it be the Anglican church? This is the old Anglican. In 1825, right. So that's the old Anglican church. And some of the areas you may find look a little familiar. Yeah? Next slide, please. This is the other half of that image. And you can see the fort. And right now, I think the current fort is beginning to look like that fort. Yeah? Next slide. And this is in 1833. So the first one would have been at the beginning of Rebecca's life, and this one would have been to the end, towards the end. And this is actually looking down, looking down Halifax Street. So like where the St. James Hotel. So it used to be called the Baker Hotel or something. It should have said that on the top. Anyway, next. Right. So Rebecca Amity Snag, as Angus says, we just know about her from very limited things. 1 letter, some government documents, and Grenada newspapers. This is, why is that so big? This is the letter that was written in 1829, the one that was donated with the dolls when they were donated to the British Empire and Commonwealth Museum in 2007. So they kept the dolls all that time until 2007. So this is the only letter apparently that remained, because sometime between 1994 and 2003, the rest of the letters were lost. We don't know what lost means, but they were lost. So in this letter is where we get a lot of our information from, and it led us to find different things. But basically, Rebecca is writing to Maria, and the top part, she says, thank you so much for the shoes that you sent me. It fit my corns very well. And then later on, she's talking about, I'm getting old, I have aches and pains. And then she talks about, send me a Bible, thank you for the other one. So there's some kind of relationship happening there. And clearly, this is not the only letter that has been written between the two, because it refers to previous letters. Yeah? Next. Yeah, you see the funny English here? Right. So this is part of the indenture documents that we were going through and transcribed. And it's really weird, because in one area, it says here, for example, the said Maria Elizabeth Amity. And then it comes down again and calls her name again. I mean, I don't understand. They're repeating, so you're never quite sure what's happening. And you can see here, if I can point, the word Becky, and that is what Rebecca was referred to as, Becky. Yeah? But we call her Rebecca. Next. Right, so she died in 1839. And as you can see, they refer to her as Miss. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, she wasn't married, if they refer to her as Miss. Yeah? And that was in the Grenada Free Press and Weekly Gazette. Next. So, the doll. So that's what we know about Rebecca. And when you go inside, if you haven't gone in already, you will see what else we found out about Rebecca. But about the dolls, we only had this to refer to, 3 articles and the Amity family papers. Next. So, this is the first part of the first article that was written in 1994. It was in this Global Doll Society magazine. This lady here is Eileen Mary Butterfield, and she was the 3X, I think, granddaughter of the enslaver woman, Maria Elizabeth Amity. So the family still exists. And she's the one, through her daughter, who donated the dolls to the museum at the time. Next. This is the article, sorry. This is the article that Angus was referring to, the dolls made by a freed manumitted woman in Grenada, written by Sue Giles. It was online, and that is where we started. And from that article, we went and we found the others. Yeah? And this is available online. You just have to go to the Bristol Museum website, and it pops up. Right? Next. And this is me in the middle there. So this was me last year at the Bristol Museum, Fran Coles, Sue Giles, and Lisa Graves. I went to look at the dolls a second time. And this was after I had talked about them at the V&A Museum at the Connecting Threads conference. And we were talking about the dolls, because the dolls, according to the V&A, the dolls are, the Madras headdress, are the earliest examples of 18th century Madras textiles this side of the world. And to be attributed to Grenada is no small thing. Next. And this is the lady who had written the original article that we found, yeah? The 2017, and she's there with the dolls. The dolls are not here. The dolls are so fragile, so precious. They have to be kept in, the special boxes, and that was the conservation lab that I had to go see them in. And we had to pull on gloves and the whole bit, yeah? When they... What's wrong with this thing? When they transported them from Bristol, because that's where they are, yeah, in Bristol, they transported them to London via car, because they couldn't put it in a train because of the vibrations. Yeah? So these 2 ladies drove these dolls to me down to London so I could talk about them. And then they came in under heavy security to where I was standing. Next, please. So these are the dolls. I didn't realize I was blurry so much. But these are the dolls, and you have an idea of the height differences. Yeah? They're about 13, 14 inches high. They're not very large dolls. Next. I think it went one, right. Slightly better images. So you can see this one. Now, there are 2 types of dolls. Apparently, there's a poupée, if you're looking at the French version, the poupée négresse, for those who speak French, and the poupée, the other one. La Brise, yeah, Cabrice, right. Basically, red skin doll and a dark skin doll. That is basically what it is. This one we suspect is whatever leather that the lady had is what she used, which is why she has a 2-toned face. I don't know if it's age damage, right? These dolls are leather. Leather. And you see the other one here? I think the head wrap got lost at some point, so it was just replaced. But it's still old. It's still old. Next. You went back? Right. And you can see the Madras here. So we were told by Avalon at the V&A that the Madras for the 2 dolls, so it should have been the 3 dolls, was taken from one single Madras handkerchief. One. Yeah? And you can see the eyes and everything. The eyes are actually cut out, and there's fabric behind and painted. Great detail on these dolls. Great detail. And then you notice the beads, little glass beads. Yeah? And then the back of this one, this is the back showing you the shawl, which is called a fichu, F-I-C-H-U, I think. And is a pink satin bow, pink satin ribbon at the. And the fabric for the skirt is a kind of a chintz that has been, so it's cotton that has been hand painted, hand dyed, and batiked. That is the three techniques that we use to create the skirts. Next. And this is a close-up of the one that lost its turban. Apparently that is real human hair on the dolls. The gold the gold necklace, it's actually a ring that somebody had used. So we don't know if it's actually gold or if it's gold plated. Yeah? And then again, you see the beads. Next. And the detail with which the dolls were made does not look like a hairnet, but it's actually, it's not soft. It's a fairly stiff net, almost like when you're making a wig. That kind of, for those of us who know about wigs, that kind of bit in the back. Yeah? And again, you see the tying of the pink ribbon at the back. Next. And these dolls are in their original clothing. Apart from the one that had the replacement head wrap, they're all in their original clothing. 200 years old. Not bad. Next. And look at the stitching. Yeah? Leather dolls. And you can see a bit of a close-up of the beads and the construction, and you can see the wear on it as well. So the dolls look like they may have been played with and then at some point put away, because I take it that if they were to be continued playing with, it might have not, been in such good shape. Next. Please. Look at the hand, look at the stitching. And as I said, the dolls are like 13 inches thereabouts. So it's tiny. So to be doing that, it's painstaking and shows a lot of skill. Next. The legs. She got some nice chubby legs there. She got legs. Yeah. And then you have the feet sticking out, and that's the underskirt. Next. And this is a close-up of this little pocket. There's a child's something that goes with Polly Pocket something. Something with a pocket. Anyway, that's the pocket. The two M's, we're still wondering what the M's are and who the M's represent. I think I came up with an idea, but I haven't fleshed it out properly, so, But it's beautiful. Right, so the chronology, from 20 to 23, this is basically what it is. The article by Sue Midmer, the article by Sue Giles, the articles by Archie. And then the dolls were examined with Francis Davies at Bristol Archives. That's the first time I saw them. And then I took photos, and I went to see Avalon at the V&A, who was really excited about the head wraps and the madras because of the connecting threads project that they were working on, which had to do with Indian textiles. Right? Next. And then Martin, who is Angus over there, he did a paper at the Grenada 50/50 conference last year, the same week that I presented in London. And while I was there, I was told that I received a Karun Thakar Fund grant to study the dolls. Karun Thakar Fund, well, they do Asian and African fabrics. That is what they study and collect. So because of the connection with the madras, that is how I got the project grant to study the dolls and to tell the story about the dolls. And of course, to do the exhibition, Grenada Office of Creative Affairs provided a grant for the exhibition under their Creative Affairs portfolio. And that has been administered by the Grenada Development Bank. And Mr. Joseph in the back there somewhere. Thank you very much for helping me get through this, yeah? Next, please. Again, the thank yous. So the people who got me to this point. So it's Archie and Sue, Francis and Lisa and Fran, Bristol Archives, Bristol Museum and Art Gallery. That is where the dolls are now in conservation. They are planning to have an exhibition at some point after mine. So that'll probably take another 2 years to get together. But I just think it's brilliant that the dolls have come from, in the basement and coming up, Avalon at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and of course the Karun Thakkar Fund. I am also grateful that the Amity family kept the dolls and donated them so that we can work with them and this exhibition and further research. So I'm really, really grateful for that. Next slide. And these are our donors. As I mentioned before, Grenada Arts Council is here because they supported me when I went up to do the original research for the dolls. So thank you very much. Where's Asha? Grenada Arts Council, thank you very much. Next. And why is this so big? And then the donors for here. Development Bank, Creative Affairs, because in an alphabetical order. The National Museum, thank you, National Museum, for letting me have this here. It's a big deal to have this here, and I'm very happy to be part of your mission and your vision for culture and heritage and preservation and finding the stories and telling the stories. And of course, we are supported by, supported by Alliance Française de la Grenade. Ilona is in here somewhere, thank you. Grenada National Trust High-Tech Printery. Are they here? Mr. Braffett? Mrs. Braffett? No. Yeah. Now Grenada, thank you very much. And Sanssouci Art Studio is actually my studio. You have to do a thing for when you do these creative affairs thing. You have to have a business and so on, So it's a good thing I had one. Next, please. Do I have a next? Right. And of course, my Grenada support. Art Fabric, Andrea McLeod, Connie, John Renell, John Angus, Kurt. Kurt is the one who did the panels inside there. Caesar, who printed the panels. Bevan, who did all the other stuff. Che is here. Desmond Hood did the glass box. Dominic Herman helped me when we were setting up on a weekend. The museum staff have been brilliant people. Brilliant. The museum staff has been brilliant. John Miller, who is not here. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. John Miller, Mr. Marast, who is making some other stuff for me. Reverend James, is he here? No? My sister, Samantha Hossel, who's somewhere in the back. Teddy Frederick, and Spice Isle Fish House Marine. Now that is very interesting, Spice Isle, I'll just wrap it up. I went to get fishing line to be able to hang the panels. When I went in, the gentleman said to me, we're giving those free today. A pound of fishing line. I said, really? He says, yes. The supplier is having a special or whatever. I said, thank you. When I looked down, the fishing line is made in India. I said, okay then. So anything after this? No. So thank you. Well, I said Teddy. Teddy, I said you, right? Twice. Right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming, showing interest. I am sorry the dolls actually are not here. But please enjoy the exhibition and the stories and the history in the room. I have one more thing to do. Don't disappear yet. Can I get a little basket, please? Yeah, I guess so. We could ask questions. They could ask questions. Yes, ask questions. But while we're asking questions, I have a small raffle. And considering the person from Thomas St. George is here, can you pull, I need you to pull a number because I have about 10 of these to give away. Rebecca's dolls. This little booklet was done by Andrea. She did the illustrations, and Connie did the layout, and I did the text. So we are doing a little raffle today. So I have 10 to give out, right? So just hold on to your numbers. The first number is 51. Somebody lose their numbers, boy. The next one is 36. The next one is 39. 79. Shake the basket. 37. Yeah, how about all right, hold up there. You won't get it just now? 70. No 70? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 more. 55? 55? Going once, going twice? You might have to. 60. No? No? 31? 31? Oh, it's not bingo, you know, people. 47. Yes? So 2 people. Okay. But we need to pull. Which one you got? Well, I can't see from here. 36. All right, 3 people. All right. So y'all will get this little copy of Rebecca's dolls. All right, we could pull 3 more. Yeah, and then we could always pull after again. But what I'm saying is, we had done this, and we want to get it into all the schools. It's a small booklet, but it basically summarizes this project about the dolls. And an introduction to history, an introduction to slavery, introduction to a woman who was enslaved and bought her freedom and went on. You understand? So if we can get them into the schools, it would be a great thing. I need to print 500. So at any point, if anybody wants to come up to me and help me print the 500 to get them into the schools, I'll be very grateful. Because we're not allowed to sell these under the grant. Yes.
That was my question.
Yes.
Is that how is it going to get to the school? Where is the money going to come from to print it?
To print it, right. So I guess I have to hit up somebody, or several bodies. But
You think there may be buddies here?
there might be buddies here, yes. And these were printed in high tech. These were printed locally, yeah? So just to be able to get them into the schools, I'll be very grateful. Let me pull 3 more. All right, I have 2 here in my hand. I have 14 and 38. 14 and 38. What? Nobody have 14 and 38? And 23. Really? Things very brown. 14, 38, and 23. No? Huh? I didn't hear. Somebody has it? Well, tough that. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, question. Yes, give me the questions.
Concerning the hair.
The hair. Mm-hmm.
So the hair looks very straight.
Yes.
So where would she have gotten the hair? Because you say it's real human hair.
Well, that's what I was told is real human hair, but it could well be horse hair as well because the dolls were stuffed with horse hair. They told in the document it's human hair, but you know, they could have made a mistake. But I haven't done any DNA testing, so I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. Well, when they go to the hairdresser and people cut in hair, you go to the barber and you get hair. One will assume.
No, what we're talking about in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Somebody who was a slave. So they would have had to go home.
I think she made them after she was freed. So, but anyway, you would go to the barber or whatever and ask for some hair or sweep it up. One will assume. Another question? No. So. Yes, Snag. Snag, yes. Snag is there's Snag family in Grenada. There's Snag in Carriacou. I know Mr. Snag in Carriacou, yes. How did the dolls get to England? Well, Rebecca sent the dolls to Maria on a ship, a care of Captain William Soper of the boat Ruckles. Ruckles? Ruckles, yeah. We find out all of that, you know, but there's just too much information for in here. Yes, yes. Wow! No. 2 questions. Yes. Yes.
I mean, I'm really curious. This kind of detail would have almost suggested somebody did this as a trade or was taught this or something like this. I mean, was this fashionable at the time for people to make dolls? Was it, you know, like today kids play video games? Was it back then that this was what people did in their free time? Did So did your research turn up
Yes.
anything like that?
Yes. So, so you know, there's a panel in here called Poupées of the French Antilles, and what we uncovered or discovered is that in Martinique, similar type dolls were made for the French tourism market. So we do not know if, you know, Grenada was French English, if some of those dolls ended up here and somehow Rebecca got them and redressed them, or if she learned how to make them because they were around. We do not know that. We figure she was a seamstress of some nature, right? Because she sold sewing materials and things like that. So it wouldn't have been too far a stretch for her to actually make the dolls. But we found these to be in Martinique, but later, the late 1800s. And she died in 1839, so they've had to have gone to Maria, you know, before that. Yes.
An interesting note, a point of reference, the red beads around her neck.
Uh-huh.
200 years ago, the only place in the world that was blowing that kind of glass
Venice.
was in Venice.
Yep.
So
yep.
Venice herself has a very immediate connection to Venice.
Yes.
So it's very, a little point of interest that those beads are now found on these dolls.
Yep, absolutely. When I was in Venice last year at the Biennale, Grenada Pavilion, the Biennale, we went across to the island that they blew the glass, Marana. And I stood up there and looked at their collection under glass of these little beads, because they marked them slave beads, trade beads, whatever, whatever. And I was jumping up and down like this, you know, because I'm like, oh my God, those are the beads on Rebecca, you know. So yeah, everything is connected. Everything is connected. Any more questions before we move? Oh, hello.
The name Amati,
Uh-huh.
Rebecca Amati Snag,
Yes.
is Amati a middle name or some surname? Because it sounds very Indian to me. And then the madras that's used in the material.
Right.
Can you explain a little connection?
Okay, so so she was listed as Becky. We do not know when she changed to Rebecca, but we refer to her as Rebecca. The Amoti, she took it from the Amuti family, the same family who enslaved her. She used that name. I take it because she may not have had another surname, so she used that name. And Angus can tell you that that happens every now and again, but not in Grenada so much. Yes? Yeah, not in Grenada so much. We know in other countries they say that the slaves take the master's name and the place names and so on and so on. It doesn't happen in Grenada that much. But we suspect, unless you have blood connections. But I don't think she had blood connections with this gentleman. I think they just took, yeah, she was mixed, but we don't know how she mixed, no. Right. So she would have done that. No. Right, all her children were mixed. So they were referred to as mustive and mestive and things like that. And she was referred to as a mulatto in the documentation. The Snag part is interesting because she had two children at the end, Eliza and Caroline Snag. Caroline used to live in St. John's Street. And her obituary says that she was a first cousin of Sir William Snag, who was the Chief Justice at the time in 1875 or something like that. So obviously there might have been some kind of blood relation there with the Snag part. So whenever she had the children for Mr. Snag, she would have taken his name to add to that. So that's how she ended up with Rebecca Amity Snag. Yeah?
All the children were with white men.
Are you sure? He's sure. All her children were with white men. She had one son and 3 daughters.
So, just to say, she would have been like a woman of means, like a woman of a certain class in the society and being free as well. Because, like, she could make all this stuff, which would probably, I mean, somebody who made probably a poor, free person may not have been able to acquire the madras and.
Why not? Why not?
So I would say when she died,
She,
the fact that she was
a businesswoman.
in the newspaper,
Yeah, it's a big deal.
few people got mentioned.
And then I noticed that her writing, that she wrote very good English as well.
Well, we don't know about we think that it's one of her daughters who actually wrote the letter.
They used to teach Sunday school.
Yeah, in the Methodist Church, which is why I invited several people here. But anyway, I'll wrap up quickly. When you go in, you can ask me lots of questions there. But I just wanted to talk about the dolls because the dolls are not here. And I wanted everybody to appreciate the skill and the beauty and the uniqueness of these dolls. We have also asked for 3D scans, so waiting to see if those actually happen. All right? Thank you.
But we have a replica.
Yeah, we have a replica. So thank you very much. Made by Connie, of course. As I said, Connie did the dolls, Andrea did the book, Jean-Renel did the painting inside there. So I had a really good team working with me. Yeah, and I'm very, very grateful. And of course, Angus. Without Angus, I couldn't get anywhere. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please view the exhibition, ask questions. Thank you. The 534. Okay.
Cost of the books, how much did 100 cost?
This is from Martinique, on my visit to Martinique last year.
Really?
I want a copy of
I
that.
have pictures, right? Right.
You see, I know.
This is another set of those, you understand?
Can you send me
From
those?
Fort de France, right? I
Yeah.
went to a
Right
museum,
there.
right?
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah, but
That's the museum the guy's in.
Oh, really? Yeah, can you send them to me,
you see
please?
again, look,
Yes, I see them. I see them. I think it's brilliant. Thank you for coming.